I'm going to give you my number one advice for navigating the job market and careers.
Been a long time without you. Been a long time without love. Everything reminds me of you, but everything is not.
Hey everyone, another quick video for you. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This time, I'm going to give you my number one advice for navigating the job market and careers. My number one advice I would give anybody is to avoid what I call the shit job carousel. And what that is people who jump from one job to another job. So they get on a carousel and they go from one shit job to another shit job, to another shit job, to another shit job, to another shit job, purely because they're desperate to move from where they currently are, and they need to pay their bills, they need to pay a mortgage, they've got a family to support. So what they end up doing is jumping from one shit job to another job. Unfortunately, I've also been the victim of the shit job carousel. So I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry for quite a number of years now, and I've gone through various different roles. And often I've found myself in a situation where I've stayed within a company for a year or two, and then I've jumped. Most of the time I've had the opportunity because I've kind of progressed up through my career, and I've gone from, say, a GP role where I'm going in and selling pharmaceuticals to GPs, to then moving up to selling to GPs and hospital doctors, and then moving up to hospital doctors, and then moving up to what we call market access, which is where you're kind of liaising directly with the NHS and discussing contracts and things. But one of the big pitfalls, and it's not just the pharmaceutical industry, is the shit job carousel. And the way this works and the way this plays out is you're desperate, you need a job, you need to earn money, you've got bills, you can't be unemployed. So you jump at the first job that comes. And it might be a contract role, it might not be an ideal role, it might not completely fulfill your skill set. The company might be a bit dodgy, the manager might not be great, hence they're working for a shit company as well. And then what you end up doing is you end up staying there, turnover's really high, people are leaving, people are dissatisfied, people are struggling, managers are bullying, you've got no job security, you've got no certainty because it's a contract role. And then what you end up doing is you end up thinking, shit, I need to get out of here. So you end up leaving that job and then jumping to another shit job. And then you're in the same perpetual cycle. And that's what I call the shit job carousel. And after a few moves, that can absolutely ruin your CV. So then when you go for a decent job, they'll say, oh, you did 2 years here, you did 18 months there. What was your rationale for leaving? And as an employer, one of the last things you ever want to hear as a manager or an employer is the candidate that's coming for an interview to be slagging off the last company they were at. So the last thing you'd want to say is, oh, the manager was a bully, or the company ethics were wrong, or this, that, the other, because in their minds, they're going to think that this is a dysfunctional employee. And what's going to happen is after they leave my company, they're going to badmouth me and my company to the next prospective employer. Whereas a lot of the time it can be 50-50, and this is where I've said the truth will set you free. So if it's you not pulling your weight, not being a good employee, not doing what you need to do, not doing what's asked of you, then you need to take that responsibility and you need to be honest with yourself and move forwards with your career that way. But if it's not, be very careful about falling into that perpetual cycle of the shit job carousel. I'll give you an example with me. So, worked for a company, manager was found out later that she was sacked herself for bullying very quickly after I left. She would sack people on a whim, so she would be somebody's best mate for 1 month, and then she would be not somebody's best mate for another month. She kind of had a bit of a shady background. I ended up working with her manager a couple of jobs after that. And yeah, terrible reputation. She ended up getting quite a senior role as a head of sales within one of the companies that I was working for. It was as a contract role through a contract company. And what I had with that was that you don't have any job security. At the time, the company that was hiring the contractors could just turn around at a whim, click of a finger. I don't like Parham, I don't like John, I don't like Fred, I don't like somebody else, and just literally get rid of them. There was no security. So what ended up happening, she ended up being a bully, and she would kind of pick on everybody, and she was very inconsistent. She would say one thing and then deny having said it, and everything was all about her and me, and she used to have sort of great stories about how she was like a famous motor racer, and how she gave so many designer clothes to charity, that the charity shop could open their own shop. It was crazy, like tall tales. I don't know. I wouldn't want to sort of diagnose, but obviously, yeah, not a very stable person. Then I ended up leaving there, and I ended up thinking I just need to get away from this and micromanagement and everything. And what I ended up doing then was ended up getting another job, which wasn't necessarily a bad job, but it was a very bad fit for me and my personality. It was a role within financial services, and it wasn't really for me. It was very admin orientated. I'm more of a people person. I didn't want to be sat there studying and learning about various different things, and it was great to learn, but it wasn't really a right job fit for me. So I ended up staying there for 1.5 to 2 years, worked very, very hard, achieved a lot, did very good sales there, got some very good results, but fundamentally the job really wasn't for me, and the money that I was hoping to earn within that job, because I had like a price parameter. So for me to be working that hard, I would need to be earning a lot more money than what I was earning within that role. So again, I ended up leaving there. I ended up going back into the pharmaceutical industry, again on a contract role, a very unstable role. It was a year's contract. Then at the end of that year, I was left being made redundant, having to look for another job. Luckily, I managed to find a good job again within the pharmaceutical industry. This was a contract role, but it was a very, very good job within the pharmaceutical industry that I really enjoyed. And I ended up kind of going over to there. And then there was another role. Actually, I forgot. There was another role in between. Again, the manager, very bad reputation, had his favorites, would bully people, would pick on people, would not like somebody for no reason. And it was just a culture of bullying within the company. So this is what I'm saying. So avoid the shit job carousel. And if you can, be very selective with the job that you're going. And the way I approach interviews now is if I'm going for an interview, I approach it as a two-way street. A lot of candidates, they go in there and they approach it as how can they actively sell themselves to the employer. They don't ask the right questions. They don't find out what's in it for them. And I think employers also need to realize that you need to be selling the job to prospective good candidates as well. So one golden rule, please, 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 if you don't take anything else, avoid going onto the shit job carousel. If you do make quick moves, make sure that it's quick moves for the right reason. So if it's a quick move for a promotion, if it's a quick move for a role that's for a better fit than you, but don't ever want to be in a situation where you're in a shit job that you're really struggling to be in. It's really affecting your mental health. It's really affecting everything. And then what you need to do is then just take anything you can to get out of your current situation, and you end up in another shit job. You might be lucky and end up in a good job, but you might also be unlucky and end up riding the shit job carousel. And if you're on there, it's a very, very, very unpleasant place to be. So guard what you're doing, and also take a bit of time to think. If you're in a current role and the role's going well, but it's not completely fulfilling you, there's no harm in also looking. Employers will not have a problem if they need to cut you. That loyalty, I think, that people have got is unfortunately gone. If you do ever find yourself in a situation where you're in a good role, stick with it. If something amazing does come along, get it. Money's not the be all and end all of everything, but whatever you do, do not get stuck on the shit job carousel. Otherwise, it will potentially cause career suicide for you. Hope that helps. Hope you've enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, pretty please with a cherry on top, write some comments. On a serious note, if you have found this helpful, do write some comments. And if there's anything else you want me to talk about, comment on that as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.